evening and welcome to the 8 p.m. newscast on Canal The English with me, Annette Feti-Some. Our top stories for tonight. Young Cameroonians are meeting to discuss how they can actively take part in Cameroon's development. Youth Parliament held today ahead of Youth Day celebrations. As the countdown to the National Day celebrations narrow, many young Cameroonians are anxiously waiting to hear the head of state's address to their situation. Meantime, many say they are struggling to make ends meet. As the Anglophone crisis degenerates, and with the 10 days lockdown in the two English-speaking regions of the country, Canal The English went investigating on some hardest hit areas like the transport sector. Developments would be yours right ahead. How to get young Cameroonians actively participate in the socio-political and cultural development of the country is the main focus as young parliamentarians began meeting today. The development of entrepreneurial and opportunities is the theme of this 2019 session. Details in the following report.
Cameroonian youths this February 8th had opportunity to stimulate their parents in the lower house of parliament in a session termed the Youth Parliament in its 3rd edition, this 2019. On the rostrum, they imitate their senior colleagues as in a question and answer session.
Mr. Minister of State, what measures have the government taken to address this problem and pave the way for the employment and self-employment of the youth?
Unemployment, like respect of promises, the worries they tabled.
Last year, during the 2nd session of the Youth Parliament, the government took the commitment to create a technical university devoted to the new information and communication technologies, which is an innovative sector that generates growth and jobs. Is this project still relevant?
Ministers concerned assured and explains the best they could. The concerns of the youths goes far beyond this day's simulation.
I'd like to see that this opportunity is used to address the insecurity going on in the two regions. So we want to use this opportunity to say that there is no business that can go on smoothly in an insecurity environment. So we from the English-speaking Cameroon, we are pleading upon the government to look into the crisis that is going on.
The crisis in the southwest and northwest regions, their preoccupations.
I expect the government to dialogue so there should be peace, yes, because since the crisis started, nothing has been done. If they dialogue, then everything will be okay. Presently in the northwest, youths are frustrated.
To better the situation of Cameroonian youths is to make the ground level for all, end the crisis, and give them better education and job opportunities. The session was chaired by the first Vice President at the National Assembly, Honorable Hilarion Etong, an initiative supported by the Experience Jeunesse Network at the National Assembly.
Cooperation ties between Cameroon and South Korea is said to be very excellent. The Korean ambassador to Cameroon has visited the Douala Vocational Training Center, fruit of the excellent cooperation ties existing between both countries. The center is aimed at training youths to be self-employed. Details with Crystal Katala.
In a meticulous way, Ombe Kwedi 21 is putting into practice lessons she has acquired for the past 6
Youths in Garoua have said no to unemployment in different ways. They want to earn their living in an honest way. I sell fuel. That's all I can do. Sell contraband fuel. Government should help us.
Non, il faut que le gouvernement fasse quelque chose quand même pour nous.
I ride a bike because there is no job. I tried to school. It didn't work out well. That's why I am doing this to take care of my wife and children. Many youths in Garwa are in the informal sector doing little jobs like riding commercial bikes or dealing in illicit fuel.
Nous faisons dans l'incitation de la jeunesse.
We encourage youths to get involved in agro-pastoral activities, and we register them at the National Youth Observatory so that they can benefit from some projects. We equally orientate the young people towards different projects and help them carry out these projects. The Cameroon Youth Council is on the field for a more efficient social integration.
Ça n'a pas été un long fleuve tranquille.
For me, it was not an easy ride. I had a lot of questions, but I was determined. I equally advise young people to be determined. As the question of youth unemployment continues to preoccupy government officials, and with Youth Week activities ongoing, young Cameroonians this 2019 are anxiously waiting for the head of state's address come February turn to see if their situation will be addressed. Well, we are sorry for that mix-up. That was a report on young Cameroonians in the North region who are struggling to make ends meet, and they say they are waiting for the head of state to address their situation. We now move back to the other reports with excellent ties between Korea and Cameroon can be experienced here in Douala, where youths have been trained to be self-employed. Once more, Christelle Katala.
In a meticulous way, Ombe Kwedi, 21, is putting into practice lessons she has acquired for the past 6 months in this center. Her mates on the other side are applying the same knowledge. The Beauty Institute is among the over 10 departments that count the Douala Advanced Vocational Training Center. The visit of the Korean ambassador to Cameroon, Her Excellency Ryu Bok-ryol, was an opportunity for her to discover the know-how of the trainees. A visit that comes to reinforce bilateral ties between Korea and Cameroon.
We'll be there. We'll continue to support your efforts to achieving this objective, and we are ready to share our proper experiences.
The Douala Advanced Vocational Training Center, constructed on a 4,500 meter square, counts 33 trainers, an administrative block, and 3 pedagogic blocks with sectors like welding, plumbing workshop, woodwork, tailoring, amongst others. The objective of the institution is to prepare youth for self-employment. As the Korean ambassador said, the real challenge of Cameroon is to attain the 2035 emergence. We need human resource because Korea had no resources, but today the country is among the first 10 developed countries, and to meet up with the challenges, Korea is ready to assist Cameroon in training its youth. Through this Youth Week, I think it's an adequate answer to problems faced by youth in search of competence and qualifications. The Douala Advanced Vocational Training Center has so far trained 500 students since its creation in December 2016. Korea, which has been in partnership with Cameroon a year after its independence, promises to continue its support. The ambassador also promised to provide more equipment to assist the professional center.
Still on youth employment, let's now meet a young Cameroonian, 26 years old, who has set up his garage and is employing other young Cameroonians like himself. Regina Leke Fonjatanda tells us more.
At this stage, this vehicle is good for dismantling. The vehicle is being given a second life thanks to the ingenuity of this young motor mechanic, Alhaji Sebo. First of all, start by putting a new paint on the vehicle. At just 26 years old, Alhaji has been able to carve a niche for himself, setting up his own garage. I have always wanted to have my own garage. I underwent training for 6 years. During this period, I saved some money, which now permitted me to open my garage. So far, it has been good. With his protective glasses that hardly leaves his eyes, his chisels in his hand, Sado gives vehicles damaged by accidents a new life. I always wear my glasses on because sometimes sparks can enter into my eyes and it makes my eyes to pain. Sometimes the sun equally is too hot and you need to wear glasses to shade yourself from the sun. He's very good at car repairs. When my vehicle has a fault, I bring it here and he arranges it. He's so nice and gentle. He takes his time to arrange our vehicles. He is very good in repainting and making the vehicle look new again. Alhaji Sebu is today an employer of dozens of youths. A dream turned into reality at just 26 years old. Thanks to the proceeds from the garage, he can now take care of his mother, widowed by the death of his father. In a good day, when we have a lot of customers, we make about 10,000 to 15,000 francs CFA. And with this money, I feed my family. At his age, this young entrepreneur is already a land title holder and is currently building his own home.
Christelle Katala, in the following report, met with some youths in Douala who have equally decided to fight against unemployment by looking for something that can help them earn a living honorably. This report.
We are at Denise Beauty Institute, located at the New Bern neighborhood in Douala 2. It's midday, places are calm. As Denise awaits customers, she gives some lessons to her apprentice who has spent some months with her. Originated from Yagua in the far north region, Denise is on her own after undergoing a training at the multifunctional professional center in Douala 2. I had no certificate, so I did my training at Black Star, but they were not given any certificate, so I had to quit the center few years after. But I later on heard of a center in New Bern. I said to myself, why not trying? And I went there and I was trained. She says funding remains a major challenge. Nadej is another young lady also trained at the multi-professional center in Douala. With her team, they are taking part in a national program to fight against blindness. Her activity has advanced tremendously. From nothing, we opened something together. We were just two of us, but today we are more than 22 in this structure. We mostly employ youth. We have an ophthalmologist who came from Russia and has accepted to assist us in the project. Julie is a designer at New Bern. She was also trained at the multi-professional center. She is proud of what she does. I have dedicated everything to God. I know if I put my trust in Him, I will not be disappointed. Julie and her employees are happy with what they do, but wish to be assisted financially so as to expand their business. I have youth who want to be trained, but my place is very small, and I don't also have the means to train the youth. These ladies with different profiles have dedicated their lives at the service of youth, but they are just asking for a single favor, that of financial assistance.
Students of some 15 secondary schools in the Douala 4 municipality have demonstrated Cameroon's rich cultural diversity through dances, songs, drama, amongst others. The event, organized as part of activities to mark the 53rd edition of the National Youth Day, held at Government Bilingual High School Bonaberry. Going by the school administration, these activities are important for the socio-cultural development of students. Let's now listen to Emilia Usang Ekwala, principal of Government Bilingual High School, Bonasama.
Great for my school, GBHS Bonasama, to be the venue for this great event for the youth, because we know that the youths are the Cameroon of tomorrow. And the specific activities are the socio-cultural activities. These are activities that we train the children so that they will not only be developed intellectually, they will also be developed in the way of activities so that they can be able to perform some activities. Because even law number 98, Cameroon Law for Education, law number 98/004 of 1998 states that the children have to be developed intellectually, they have to be developed psychomotorly, that is in the area of performance of socio-cultural activities. Because in so doing, when we develop them, some of them will earn a living from that. Examples are Eto.
Je suis d'abord content pour l'effort de la chorale, parce que chaque jour, on sèche les cours pour faire une musique présentable pour les gens à voir. Même le délégué nous a remercié parce qu'on est bien accueillis chez nous.
Vous êtes combien dans le groupe?
Nous sommes à 31, 35. Puis, je m'appelle Bibansi Julien. G-U-L-I-E-N. Oui. Je ne m'entraîne pas, c'est juste un talent que Dieu m'a donné. Et j'ai bien...
Simple but deep. The voluntary human investment here in the capital city by the youth in line with the National Youth Week activities in the country. Under the slogan Zero Refuse in Yaoundé, these members of the patriotic youths crisscrossed through the Yaoundé, Mfundi and Central markets, some hospital surroundings, streets and public spaces to clean all debts along their way.
We know that it's not easy to do everything for the government. And therefore, we are inviting all youth in our country and promise them to work for ourselves and for our country in order to increase, in order to show to the state that it's not only the state who can do the work for our land. Now, we have already started here in Yaoundé, and we promise to go over the country, southwest, northwest, and so on.
Cleanliness, it is said, is next to godliness, and it is the key to good health. The challenge they have taken now and which they want to stay in people. Why? Their actions goes with sensitization. Sensitizing Cameroonians on good hygienic practices, comportments to adopt when they produce or process items that needs to be dispatched off in a good manner, especially with the many trash cans and garbage vans around town. The anti-garbage brigade intends to spread this doctrine all over the national territory for people to learn and practice not to deposit debts anywhere and at any time.
As future leaders of Cameroon plan to celebrate the day come February 11, we move over to Yoko in the Mbam and Kim division of the Central region, where the students and pupils cannot boast of their learning infrastructure. Our reporter Beatrice Ngamu visited the schools and said the children study in very deplorable situations.
It is true school is development, and here the concept of education for all very visible, as even toddlers are in classrooms. But what schools and classrooms? The different pictures we have before us. Some 40 kilometers from Yoko, Mbam and Kim division of the Central region is Ndonga village. The walls of these classrooms in earth blocks with some few benches and tables of a different kind. 5, 6, 7 is the number per bench. At Yangula, classrooms like ceilings are of straw, popularly known as mat. Here, authorities acknowledge the stress, but pleads with all in the education chain, especially as it demands and requires lots of energy, assiduity, envy, enthusiasm. The teachers, as they play the role of mothers than teachers, should engage to go on, especially as it is not easy. Not far off, at the Sawa Carrefour, is the school created in 1952 as a Catholic school, then later a government primary school in 1972, but have never received grants of any kind for its development. Grass has invaded this other school, abandoned to the nature it belongs. We are totally abandoned, as you see for yourself. This school was constructed by parents, teachers, but because of no means, the lack of teachers, we can't do anything. Children have dispersed, some in towns and others not going to school. The general cry here at Ndonga is for the states to come to their aid, help educate the future of tomorrow, the future of Ndonga and future of Cameroon.
It's Youth Week period and students and people are exposed to different activities out of the classroom. Here in Douala, some pupils and students met at the French Cultural Center to discover a new cartoon. Dimorin sat all through with the students and pupils and now reports.
The influence of cartoons in a child's behavior and attitude is something which is being studied extensively these days. Many advantages have been cited, and that's the reason most of the educational apps use animations to teach children more effectively. A glaring example is this short educative cartoon designed and produced by Cameroonian-born Michel Bilong. Dodi the tortoise is out to instill African values, most especially moral values, to pupils. Wednesday, hundreds of pupils are gathered in this hall for the official launching of the educative cartoon Dodi the Tortoise. Children are enjoying every moment. Dodi the Tortoise is a courageous, polite, humble, and morally upright schoolboy who is vigilant at happenings around him. He pays attention to sanitation, hygiene, protection of the environment, and safety rules while in a vehicle or on the road. After watching the people say what they have retained.
That we should do our homework, we should not lie, and we should not steal.
Even the teachers are amazed and think such educative cartoons facilitate teaching in class.
To increase the performance of the children by following up their ways of life and making sure that they should know where to deposit the lid of a container after being used, and to know how to keep the environment clean by so doing that. And moreover, there will be intellectual and retentive and loyalty in the society by keeping what is being learned in their various classrooms and to the society itself.
Dodi the Tortoise would eventually be a role model to every child as they grow up.
Away from Youth Week activities, let's now talk something else. Amongst the areas hardest hit by the Anglophone crisis is the transport sector. And in the following report, Kejang Henry Atembe went investigating how affected the sector is.
Transport is a prime mover and one of the major factors of production, be it air, land, sea or rail transport. These sectors are seriously affected by the Anglophone crisis. Here are a few sound bites. Immigration sources report that before the crisis, at least 500 persons crossed the borders, echoed Nigeria. This generated at least 3 billion francs. Today, less than 50 people can barely cross the border. So, 3 billion francs is blown into oblivion. Another soundbite is the railway sector. The line connecting Mbanga to Kumba is a catastrophe. The Mbanga-Kumba railway line, be it passenger or cargo, generated about 10 million francs a day. The arithmetic is simple, and so for the 3 years running, the Railway Corporation has lost about 33 billion francs CFA. This is a huge amount. Now let's take the case of the maritime sector. The financial incidence is alarming. The shipping line Limbe-Calabar before now generated about 12 billion francs a year. These companies could barely make 800 million francs a year. The effect does not end there. Ashuka and Fako ship, which are the major transporters in the maritime sector, are bleeding. What about those who operate speedboats leaving for Nigeria? Their situation is sad. National carrier Cameroon Airlines Corporation has reduced its flight frequency from Douala to Bamenda. Cameco's business plan has been shattered. Operational problems stepped in because the company has to spend huge sums of money to lodge its workers in Bamenda, who are idling, doing nothing as a result of growing insecurity. Cameco is losing about 20 million francs each month. The land transport sector is the most touched. The Land and Freight Transport Bureau has reported that organized transport agencies like Musango and Mondial had 6 to 7 departures a day from the southwest to the central regions and back. Mathematically, it gives about 12 billion francs a year. Come to think of unorganized transport systems and what they generate, then you can understand that the loss is enormous in the private sector as a result of the Anglophone crisis. The shutdown observed in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon is equally having a toll on the transport sector. And pundits already report that there might be another shutdown in the month of May and another shutdown in the month of October. When all these are computed, then you will come to understand that there is a reason for an urgency to solve the Anglophone crisis. Kejang Henry Atembe reporting for Canal English.
We now talk health, where it has been observed that the fight against river blindness in Cameroon is being hindered by the refusal of patients consuming the Metizan tablets. As the 9th Scientific Committee session of the Center for Research on Filariasis and Other Tropical Neglected Diseases unfolds, the main concern is to eradicate river blindness in Cameroon. Details with Beatrice Gamu.
Progress have been made in Cameroon to completely eradicate filaria, the most common, onchocerciasis, popularly known as river blindness, rife in many rural zones in the country. And treatment of onchocerciasis is based on Metizan, distributed in Cameroon once a year, free of charge, after the quick diagnosis through the test and treat strategy. The concern today is that some people refuse to take the treatment, which is handed after a test to those eligible for treatment.
We encourage the entire population, where this drug is distributed, to take their drug. If everybody takes the drug, we'll be able to eliminate the disease from Cameroon. But if part of the population does not take this drug, they will keep the microfilaria in their body, and they will continue to transmit through the vectors this disease to the Cameroon population.
The points on research concerning onchocerciasis, the focus of the 9th session of the Scientific Commission this Friday in Yaoundé,
is to work on diagnosis tool to make the proof that this disease is really eliminated from some foci. Because the main diagnostic tools like skin snip, we know in parasitology, are less sensitive when the drug is eliminated. So we work on more sensitive diagnostic tool to be able to prove that the disease is eliminated in some foci.
Research needs to be ongoing to make sure there is proper follow-up.
We come every year to make sure this laboratory continues to help us in following the disease progress, making sure that we control any secondary effects, make sure that the drugs still are being used in the most effective way.
The strategy, an important move in the elimination process of onchocerciasis and lymphatic filariasis in zones rife with lowers in Central Africa.
In line with the preparation ahead of the 2021 African Cup of Nations, a simulation exercise to test the operational capacities of the different structures involved in the disaster chain has been organized at the Yaoundé Military Stadium. The same exercise will be organized on all sites to host the prestigious football competition. Once more, Beatrice Gamo tells us more.
Cries of distress at the Yaoundé Military Stadium. An explosion followed by collapse has just interrupted a football match of the 2021 AFCON. Not far off, fire alarm, siren of an ambulance announcing the Alpha Red Plan. Elements of National Gendarmerie and Police in action to secure the site. And this as its operational disposition by the firefighter men is put in place. The consequences, over 20 wounded and 2 dead. The injured carried out of the disaster zone. Outside is a campaign hospital where the first aid workers carries the victim for emergency follow-up and offer first treatment. The emergency plan for crime victims, which in reality is a simulation exercise where the police, gendarmerie, armed forces, the Red Cross, Direction for Civil Protection, the firefighters, and Health Direction of Defense Ministry are involved. The objective of the security exercise is to test the operational capacities of the different institutions involved in disaster management chain, how they act, and the smooth link from one institution to the other in the face of numerous victims. This exercise is in line with preparations of the AFCON 2021 and will take place in all the sites to host the competitions.
Before we come to the end of the newscast tonight on Canal the English, this information from out of the country where Guillaume Soro has resigned as the Speaker of the National Assembly in Ivory Coast. There are indications he wants to run as presidential candidate next year. The former Prime Minister and rebel leader said he would not sacrifice the fragile peace in the country just to hold to his job. That was news tonight on Canal the English. Thanks for watching.